Welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Now, as cloud, database, and IT ops professionals, you know exactly how critical your network infrastructure really is. So today, our goal is highly specific and, honestly, incredibly powerful. We're going to bridge the gap between your network gatekeepers and your cloud analytics. We're going to look at exactly how to consolidate your F5 logs directly into Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Logging Analytics. But right off the bat, I want you to ask yourself something. Are you truly capturing the full story of your F5 Big IP, or is all that brilliant, actionable intelligence just sitting there in isolated silos, completely disconnected from your broader operational dashboards? You know, if you're managing complex environments, missing out on this data basically means you're operating with a massive blind spot, and we definitely want to change that today.
Let's be real for a second about what we're actually dealing with here. The F5 Big IP isn't just some simple router, right? It's a wildly multifaceted networking device. It is essentially the beating heart of your application delivery, making sure you've got availability, performance, security, and scalability all happening at once. And because it handles so much critical traffic and secures your perimeters, the log data it spits out is an absolute goldmine. You literally need to unlock that data for both threat detection and performance tuning.
All right, so here's our game plan for today's blueprint. We'll cover 1. The F5 log dilemma. 2. The centralized OCI architecture. 3. syslog and agent setup. 4. F5 integration and forwarding. And lastly, unlocking advanced analytics. Let's get right to it.
Starting off with Section 1, the F5 log dilemma. So picture this. On one side, you've got your F5 Big IP just pumping out these massive volumes of critical security and traffic data. And then on the other side, you have OCI logging analytics, your centralized hub to index, enrich, explore, and correlate all your infrastructure logs. The real dilemma here is that while the F5 appliance produces those vital insights, you desperately need the centralized, machine learning-powered engine of OCI to actually correlate that data and figure out what those logs mean in the context of your entire cloud environment. Which brings us to Section 2, the centralized OCI architecture. Now, I'm going to slow things down just a bit here because we really need to map out this data pipeline. The data starts at the F5 appliance, which securely forwards it over to an intermediary syslog server running our syslog dead. From there, the OCI management agent running on that exact same server catches the data and seamlessly shoots those logs straight up into OCI logging analytics. Grasping this fluid flow is absolutely crucial before we touch a single configuration setting. Of course, to make this whole pipeline function safely and securely, we've got a few strict prerequisites to knock out. You'll need logging analytics enabled in your tenancy with the right IAM policies, plus an Oracle Linux compute instance to act as your syslog middleman. On the networking front, you absolutely have to make sure egress traffic is allowed from your F5 to your syslog server on port 514. And finally, just verify your management agent has clear communication paths to the Oracle Service Network. Moving right along to Section 3, syslog and agent setup.
So why our syslogd on our Linux compute instance? Well, think of our syslogd as the ultimate Swiss Army knife, or maybe the heavy-duty duct tape of logging. It's way more than a basic receiver. It's a highly evolved log processor module that can accept inputs from a massive variety of sources, transform them, and output them reliably to our agent. This little middleman server is what flawlessly catches those UDP or TCP streams flying off the F5 appliance.
Getting the agent to listen to our Swiss Army knife is actually a super breezy, straightforward process right inside the OCI console. You just navigate to your compute instance and enable the management agent plugin. Once you see that status flip to running on the VM, and by the way, checking the mgmt.agent.log file is a fantastic way to be 100% sure, you just hop over to observability and management and deploy the logging analytics plugins right down to that server. Switching gears a bit, let's step into Section 4, F5 integration and forwarding. Okay, so our OCI side is all ears. Now we actually step into the F5 management console, where the configuration utility makes the setup remarkably simple. Under System, Logs, and Configuration, you're going to select Remote Logging. Just punch in the IP address of your new syslog server, specify default UDP port 514, and hit Update. Oh, and quick pro tip, if you're running your Big IP systems in a high availability setup, please do not forget to perform a config sync to push these changes across your device group. Now, here's the absolute most crucial takeaway on the F5 side, understanding the underlying networking rules. You need Big IP version 11x or later for starters. But here's the big one. Your destination syslog server literally has to be on the default route domain, domain 0,
or the management network. If it's outside of those, you're going to have to use remote high-speed logging configs instead. Also, if you want TCP instead of UDP for that extra reliability, you'll need to drop into the TMSH command line utility to set that up.
And finally, Section 5, Unlocking Advanced Analytics.
Back over in OCI Logging Analytics Admin, this is where we bind the whole shebang together. You're going to create a Linux host entity tied to your management agent, and then duplicate the out-of-the-box F5 Big IP logs source. In that newly duplicated source, simply add your entity types and define the file patterns from your syslog directory. Finally, associate your new F5 entity with your log source, and boom. Just like that, OCI knows exactly how to parse that raw F5 data.
Now, you might be sitting there wondering, why did we only focus on the standard management agent? Well, while OCI does offer a unified monitoring agent that's fluent bid-based and highly flexible, gathering unverified remote logs with it just isn't officially supported because of some pretty serious security implications. The standard management agent approach we just walked through is exactly what you want. It's highly secure, officially supported, and delivers the robust pipeline that enterprise environments demand. And that, my friends, brings us to the ultimate goal here. Whether you're an IT administrator trying to optimize network ops or a security pro actively hunting down threats, this architecture completely equips you to bridge the gap. You've just taken isolated, siloed network gatekeeper data and seamlessly integrated it into a centralized, machine learning-driven analytics platform. So what kind of operational bottlenecks or sneaky security threats are hiding in your F5 logs right now, just waiting to be revealed? I highly encourage you to implement this blueprint and find out for yourself. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.